In this laboratory in Midtown Manhattan, scientists are brewing an oil that could be used in place of palm and other vegetable oils. The oil is made from yeast using a process called precision fermentation. The yeast is fed with a carbon or sugar source in order to grow, gain fat, and produce the oil.
Instead of relying on animals or plants to produce oils and fats, which is what the world relies on today, we look to the fungal kingdom. So we use microorganisms. More broadly, you might use yeast or algae or bacteria. We use yeast, and we turn this yeast into a little mini factory for making oils and fats.
Palm oil's carbon footprint comes when the rainforest is cleared for industrial plantations. Startups like C16 Biosciences think microbial alternatives will address the issue.
Our oil grows in fermentation tanks. They're steel tanks. And we don't have to grow. We're not limited to an area of growth around the equator. We're not limited to certain growth conditions. We can do our process. We can execute our process anywhere in the world. We'll be able to reduce between 50 and 99% of the carbon footprint of palm oil simply by not having to deal with land use change and not having to engage in deforestation.
Another thing, environmentally speaking, what we will avoid is transportation of palm oil from tropical countries to countries like the US and the countries like Europe, because we're going to produce it locally. So that has a huge impact on the positive impact on the environment.
Dutch biotech company No Palm has an additional sustainability value proposition. Its circular economy production cycle uses agricultural leftovers, which are currently underutilized or thrown away.
So we grow these yeast, we ferment side streams, and those are all kind of waste material coming from vegetable production or from brewery or you name it. And those are our feedstocks for the fermentation. So what we do is use those, mash them in, or blend them into something that looks a little bit like baby food, and then we do our fermentation in a brewery vessel.
Palm oil is also used in the cosmetics and personal care industries. C16 skincare products are expected to go on sale in the next few months.
But as we look to the future of our platform, we're actually looking to build an oil profile which could outperform even palm oil and solve those application needs of food manufacturers and otherwise that they don't get satisfaction from vegetable oils today.
Aside from its carbon footprint, palm oil, like any other agricultural commodity, is vulnerable to supply shortfalls and price volatility.
If you look at Ukraine war, of course, that has an impact on the sunflower oil, right? And that actually raised the price of vegetable cooking oil across the world. So, it is hard to mitigate against, sudden supply shocks like this when large regions of the world are affected at the same time. When the supply is disrupted for the traditional agricultural methods, and prices go up, then the alternatives actually become somewhat more viable because there is now, it can now fill a supply gap that in the traditional supply chain.
But key challenges remain for palm oil alternatives in the road to commercialization. These include achieving scale and price parity.
To reach the goal of offering a real replacement for palm oil, we have to do this at really large scale. So we have to build factories, and not one, but many of those. And those will be brewery type factories and large breweries. So we talk about 50,000 liter and 100,000 liter vessels, and then several of those together at a certain location. And we will have several of these locations. And just to build this, it takes time.
While alternatives are being developed, efforts are being made to promote the certification of palm oil.
Consumers are definitely more aware of certified sustainable palm oil and certified products than they were several years ago. But I think the big challenge really is that consumer demand, as in the actual physical buying of certified material, still has a long way to grow. In order to incentivize producers to adopt more sustainable practices and to kind of move towards certification, the demand side and the demand pool is a big part of that. So really, if you look at palm oil today, about 20%, 19% of global production is certified sustainable.
The demand for palm oil could triple as the global population is expected to reach almost 10 billion by 2050.